If you drive an electric car in Delaware, the state's about to put more money in your pocket, and how car sales forecast the economy. This is the Delaware Way. Welcome to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. It's become a lot more affordable to get an electric car in Delaware thanks to DNREC. With DNREC, Kathy Harris, who is a clean transportation planner, great title, with Delaware's Division of Energy and Climate. And by the way, on the day we're recording this, it is also her birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So you're going to get an electric car for your birthday? Is that what you're
on
going to get?
my wish list.
Explain the benefits of getting an electric car in Delaware.
Sure. So electric vehicles are a really great resource for Delawareans, and with our rebate program, which is $3,500 for a battery electric vehicle like the Nissan Leaf, or $1,500 for a plug-in hybrid like the Chevy Volt or the Ford Fusion Energy, it's really helping to make electric vehicles more affordable for Delawareans. And there's a lot of really benefits to having electric vehicles. The emissions are much lower than a gasoline car, and we see in Delaware that transportation is one of the largest causes of greenhouse gas emissions in the state. Almost 34% of our emissions come from the transportation sector. So by switching to an electric vehicle, Delawareans are able to take action in helping to reduce the amount of emissions on our Delaware roads and clean up our air.
So the setbacks in buying an electric car, one is the price, and you're dealing with that. The other part is that it runs out of energy. And so if your work is far away, it's going to run out on the ride home, and so you can't get one. How do you fix that problem?
Right, so we also have a rebate program available for charging stations as well. So our new rebate program provides rebates for up to $5,000 for workplaces to install charging stations at work, so that Delawareans can travel from, even from Wilmington down to Dover, charge during the day and still get back at home while also doing a couple errands throughout the day. And we also have charging stations for commercial entities and for residential purposes as well.
Is the state also putting up some charging stations of their own?
Yeah, so we actually last year gave out a grant for alternative fueling infrastructure, so both for electric vehicle charging stations as well as propane and natural gas fueling stations as well. So within the next couple of years, we're going to see several new DC fast charging stations popping up throughout the state, which again is helping to reduce that range fear that people might have. I
told you before we started the interview that I looked at the Fusion E, and it was fascinating to me. There's an app where it'll show you all the charging stations that are available. If I were to look at Delaware right now, how many charging stations are there? Is there one just about everywhere I go?
I would say that there's one probably every 30 or 40 miles within the state. So within the past couple of years, we've really increased the amount of charging stations that have shown up in the Delaware landscape. Right now there's around 60. And like I said, within the next couple of years, we're going to see that number even increasing. And we're hoping to increase it even more with our rebate program.
And are all of them accessible to me? Or like if a business puts up one, I can't use that, right? Or if a car dealer has one and I don't have their car, I can't use that. So there has to be charging stations that are separate from that. You were mentioning the ones that the state has put up.
Yes. So some dealerships might have one specifically for those vehicles, but a lot of them are becoming public, and especially with standardizations of plugs, we're seeing that most vehicles are able to use most of the charging stations out in public. And we actually recently installed 2 public charging stations outside of our offices in Dover to help promote both public charging and also the workplace charging. Aside
from the workplace charging, if I wanted to put a power station at my house, do I get a rebate?
Yes, so that's for 50% of the cost of the physical charging station up to $500.
So give me the breakdown now. So with the federal incentives and with your rebate and getting the rebate on the charging station, how much am I going to save?
So our rebate for the battery electric, like I said, is for $3,500, and the federal government has a tax credit for up to $7,500 depending on your tax obligation.
There's $11,000 possibly right there.
Exactly. So ours is a pure rebate, and then like I said, the federal is a tax credit. But yeah, you're looking at a saving of potentially $11,000.
And then with the charging, how much do the chargers normally cost?
It depends on the type you're getting. We see a little bit of a different type of charging station for workplaces and commercial entities, which is why they have a little bit of a higher rebate amount. But for your residential purposes, I would say between $350 and $1,000.
Are you concerned going forward that some of those rebates go away, that some of those tax incentives go away because of a change in philosophy?
I can't speak for the federal government, but I know on the state level our intention is to keep this rebate program going as long as possible.
And there's no connection between the two? They're completely separate? They just tie in together in the cost savings to the driver. They don't tie in together in any authority?
Right. And the funding for this rebate program comes from the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which is a state-run carbon tax. So there's no fear of that funding expiring anytime soon either.
Why are you so confident in the state level? Has John Carney also already given his commitment to this?
I haven't spoken to him as well, but like I said, this rebate program, we have the funding designated until June 30th of 2018. So until June 30th, our funding should be secure.
Do you know where Delaware ranks nationally, how well we're doing when it comes to electric cars compared to other states in the union?
It depends on the state that you're looking at. When we were researching this new rebate program, we looked at several other states and kind of what they were doing and modeled our new rebate program based on some of their suggestions. But I think that, Delaware is really becoming a huge advocate for electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid vehicles. So I would say we're getting on par with a lot of other states in the country.
Now, you told me that you have two where you work, but you don't have one yet.
Yeah.
And what's holding you back?
Well, so when I was looking to work, I was living up in Wilmington and commuting down to Dover every day. And in a car that was affordable in my range, I wouldn't have been able to get from Dover to Wilmington or vice versa throughout the day. But now that we've recently installed these charging stations in the past couple months, it's becoming way more an option for me to purchase a vehicle, because now I can travel from Wilmington to Dover, charge throughout the day, and then also get back home and maybe even do some errands in between. So that's why we're really pushing for the workplace charging program to kind of help alleviate some of those fears that people might have of running out of gas.
So you are a personal example of the benefit of this. And with this, do you plan to go out and get an electric car?
Yes, I absolutely would love to.
That could be the birthday present
Exactly.
I was talking about. Happy birthday to you.
Thank
you
so
so much
much
for being in. Kathy Harris, Clean Transportation Planner with Delaware's Division of Energy and Climate. When we come back, we'll stay on the environment and talk about cleaning up the waterways in Delaware when the Delaware Way continues.